Captain Rebecca Chin died 8 years ago, or so the world believed. When Flight 2847 faced disaster over the Atlantic, a mysterious passenger entered the cockpit. She flew like a ghost returned from the dead, using a call sign that had been retired forever, Falcon. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. Captain Rebecca Chin died 8 years ago. At least, that's what everyone believed. Her family buried an empty coffin at Arlington National Cemetery. Her squadron held a memorial service. The Air Force retired her call sign, Falcon, forever. Military records listed her as killed in action, body not recovered. But on March 14, 2025, Rebecca sat quietly in seat 23F on American Airlines Flight 2847, flying from London to New York. She wore jeans, a gray hoodie, and a baseball cap. Nobody looked at her twice. Nobody knew the woman by the window had skills that would soon save all their lives. Rebecca had been one of the best F-22 fighter pilots in the Air Force. Top grades. Over 1,200 flight hours. She was chosen for Operation Silent Knife, a dangerous mission to photograph suspected nuclear weapons facilities in Iran. Everything went wrong. Her aircraft systems failed over enemy territory. Iranian defenses detected her. She crash-landed in remote mountains along the Iran-Afghanistan border. Instead of waiting for rescue, Rebecca made an impossible choice. She took classified equipment, destroyed the aircraft, and disappeared into the mountains. For 8 years, she lived as a ghost, moving through Iran, Syria, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. She gathered intelligence that stopped terrorist attacks and saved countless lives. Her death had been the perfect cover. Nobody looks for a dead woman. Captain Michael Torres had been flying commercial jets for 17 years. At 2:34 p.m., 900 miles over the Atlantic Ocean, warning lights suddenly filled his cockpit. "Mike, we're losing multiple systems," said First Officer Jennifer Park, her voice tight with worry. Captain Torres grabbed his radio. "Gander Center, American 2847 declaring emergency. Multiple system failures. American 2847, nearest airport is 920 miles away. Can you maintain altitude?" Before he could answer, crushing pain exploded in Torres's chest. His hands fell from the controls. "Jennifer," he gasped. "You have the aircraft." Jennifer watched in horror as her captain slumped forward. The autopilot disconnected. She was alone in the cockpit with 312 passengers behind her. "Mayday, Mayday, Mayday," she broadcast. American 2847. Captain incapacitated. Multiple system failures. "I'm alone up here." Rebecca had been dozing when the aircraft's movement changed. Most passengers didn't notice, but 8 years of survival had sharpened her instincts. Something was wrong. Then came the announcement. First Officer Park's voice tried to sound calm, but Rebecca heard the fear underneath. Rebecca unbuckled and stood. A flight attendant rushed over. "Ma'am, please sit down." "I need to speak with your cockpit crew," Rebecca said quietly. "I'm a pilot. Military trained. I can help." The attendant hesitated. "Ma'am, I can't allow. Your first officer is alone with a dying aircraft and probably a dying captain," Rebecca interrupted softly. "I'm qualified to help. We're over the Atlantic with no land in sight. How long can she handle this alone?" The flight attendant looked into Rebecca's eyes and saw something that made her decide. "Follow me." The cockpit door opened. Rebecca stepped into controlled chaos. Captain Torres slumped unconscious in his seat. First Officer Park gripped the controls with white knuckles, sweat running down her face. "Who are you?" Jennifer asked without looking away from the failing instruments. "Rebecca Chin. Military pilot, qualified on multiple aircraft including heavy jets. What's your situation?" The calm authority in Rebecca's voice made Jennifer glance back. This wasn't some amateur. This was someone who belonged here. Captain had a heart attack 5 minutes ago, Jennifer said rapidly. Same time our systems started failing. Hydraulics failing, electrical problems, autopilot offline. We're losing altitude and I can't stop it. We're 900 miles from land. Rebecca's mind analyzed the situation instantly. 8 years of impossible decisions had made her faster, sharper. First Officer Park, Jennifer, I need you to trust me. Can you do that? Jennifer looked back and saw experience in Rebecca's eyes. Yes. Good. Let me take the captain's seat. We need a doctor for him, and we need to get this plane down fast. Within minutes, a doctor was treating Captain Torres. Rebecca sat in the left seat, her hands on the Boeing 777's controls. This was what she was built for. Gander Center, American 2847, Rebecca said into the radio. New pilot assisting. Military qualified, heavy aircraft experience. What are my landing options? American 2847, nearest suitable airport is Canadian Forces Base Goose Bay, 780 miles from your position. But you'll need to get there fast. Goose Bay is acceptable. We're coming in. American 2847, we're also scrambling F-22 Raptors to escort you. Rebecca's hands tightened on the controls for just a moment. F-22 Raptors. Her aircraft. The jet she'd flown into hell 8 years ago. Major Jake "Havoc" Richardson had been Rebecca's wingman before she died. When the emergency call came, he and his wingman Captain Lisa "Viper" Santos punched through the sound barrier to intercept. American 2847, this is Raptor flight, Havoc transmitted. 2 F-22s approaching your position. We're here to escort you. Raptor flight, this is American 2847, Rebecca responded. Good to have you. We're dealing with multiple system failures attempting Goose Bay. American 2847, who am I speaking with? Rebecca hesitated. For 8 years, she'd used false names. But now, 35,000 feet over the Atlantic with 312 lives depending on her, she was tired of hiding. Raptor flight, this is Captain Rebecca Chen. Long silence. In his F-22 cockpit, Havoc's hands froze. Say again your last. Did you say Rebecca Chen? Affirmative, Raptor flight. American 2847, state your military background. Former Air Force pilot, 1st Fighter Wing, qualified F-22 Raptors with approximately 1,200 flight hours. Last active duty 8 years ago. Another silence. Then, American 2847, what was your call sign? Rebecca took a deep breath. Once spoken, everything would change. Raptor flight, my call sign was Falcon. In his cockpit, Havoc felt his world tilt. Havoc, this is impossible, Viper's voice came through. Falcon died 8 years ago. I know, Havoc replied. I was at the memorial. He keyed his radio. American 2847, the call sign Falcon was retired 8 years ago following Captain Chen's death. The pilot who used that call sign is listed as killed in action. I'm aware of my official status, Raptor flight, Rebecca replied calmly. Right now, I have 312 people who need to land safely. I could use assistance from fellow aviators. Havoc made a decision. Whatever impossibility he faced could wait. Right now, there was an airliner in trouble. Copy that, Falcon, he said, using her call sign automatically. Raptor flight here to assist. The use of her old call sign hit Rebecca harder than expected. 8 years of dozens of names, but never her own. Hearing Falcon felt like coming home. For the next 40 minutes, Rebecca flew the dying Boeing 777 toward Canada. Every moment brought new challenges as systems failed. She'd lost most hydraulics. Electrical problems made instruments flicker. But she kept the aircraft stable. Beside her, Jennifer Park watched in amazement. "I've been flying 12 years. I've never seen anyone fly like this." "You learn things when failure means death," Rebecca replied. The two F-22s flanked them, close enough that Rebecca could see Havoc's helmeted head. "You've got this, Falcon," Havoc transmitted. "Bring them home." The runway appeared through the clouds. Rebecca aligned the Boeing 777 while managing descent rate and the aircraft's tendency to roll. She called for flaps and gear, heard Jennifer confirm deployment. Main wheels touched with barely a shudder. Rebecca deployed thrust reversers and began braking. With failed hydraulics, the brakes were only partially effective. The Boeing 777 rolled faster than normal. "Brakes weak," Rebecca said calmly. "Emergency brakes." Slowly, agonizingly, the aircraft decelerated. They used 9,500 of the runway's 11,000 feet before finally stopping. Emergency vehicles surrounded them instantly. In the cockpit, Rebecca sat back and allowed herself one moment of relief. They'd made it. All 312 passengers plus crew, safe. American 2847 on the ground, she transmitted. "All souls safe." "Copy that, Falcon," Havoc's voice came back. "Damn good flying. Welcome home." The two F-22s made one final pass over the runway, a salute to the pilot who'd brought everyone home, then accelerated away. Captain Torres was rushed to hospital. Passengers were evacuated. Jennifer Park told investigators, "We'd all be dead without the passenger who helped fly." But that passenger had disappeared. Rebecca slipped away during the chaos, vanishing like the ghost she'd been. Except she'd left proof. The cockpit voice recorder captured every word. Flight data showed her control inputs. And two F-22 pilots had heard her use a call sign retired 8 years ago. Within hours, military intelligence reviewed the recordings. Voice analysis confirmed a match with Captain Rebecca Chen. Within 2 days, they pulled her classified file and discovered the truth. Operation Silent Knife hadn't ended with Rebecca's death. It had continued for 8 years as one of the most successful intelligence operations in history. Rebecca hadn't died in Iran. She disappeared into Iran, gathering intelligence that prevented attacks and saved lives. Her death had been perfect cover. But now she'd exposed herself to save civilians. 3 days after the landing, Rebecca appeared at her parents' home in Virginia. Her father, retired Colonel James Chen, opened the door. He was 71 now, hair completely gray. He looked at Rebecca for a long moment. Then tears began streaming down his face. "Hello, Dad," Rebecca said quietly. He pulled her into his arms and held her tight. "We thought you were dead. 8 years." "I'm sorry," Rebecca said, her own tears coming. "I wanted to tell you. I couldn't." "I know about the mission," her father interrupted. "I figured it out 2 years ago. I knew you were alive, but I couldn't tell anyone. I couldn't risk your cover." Her mother appeared, then her sister. More tears, more embraces, more words that couldn't express 8 years of grief transformed into impossible joy. That evening, military officials arrived. Polite, respectful, absolutely insistent. Captain Chen, General Patricia Hawkins said, "You've been operating without support for 8 years. Time to come in from the cold. We need debriefing." "What about my family?" Rebecca asked. "They just got me back." "You won't disappear again," the general assured her. "Those days are over." The debriefing took 3 weeks at a secure facility in Virginia. Rebecca told them about 8 years that officially never happened. She described infiltrating weapons networks, gathering intelligence on terrorist cells, photographing nuclear facilities. The intelligence she provided was staggering. Weapons systems they'd only suspected. photographs satellites couldn't capture. She'd stopped 3 major terrorist attacks that would have killed thousands. "What you've accomplished is extraordinary," Colonel David Foster said. "But we need to understand the psychological toll. 8 years alone, constantly hiding. How did you survive?" Rebecca thought carefully. "I survived because I had to. Because people depended on the intelligence I could gather, even if they didn't know I existed. And because I promised myself someday I'd come home." The decision to expose yourself to save American 2847, you knew that would end your cover operations. "I knew," Rebecca confirmed. "But there were 312 people who needed help. Some missions are more important than maintaining cover. I became a pilot to serve others, not hide in shadows forever." Within 2 weeks, the story exploded internationally. Dead pilot returns to save airliner. News organizations worldwide covered the story of Captain Rebecca Falcon Chen. The 312 passengers were interviewed extensively. "I knew we were in serious trouble," said businessman Michael Harrison. But then this voice came over the speakers, calm and authoritative. "She told us what was happening, and somehow I believed her. When we landed and realized we'd survived, I wanted to thank her, but she was gone." First Officer Jennifer Park became the public face. "Captain Chen saved everyone aboard," she told reporters. "Our captain was dying. Our aircraft was falling apart. I was alone and terrified. Then she appeared, and suddenly I wasn't alone. She flew that 777 like she'd been born in a cockpit." Major Jake Richardson was interviewed about hearing the supposedly dead pilot's call sign. "When I heard Falcon over the radio, I literally froze," he told CNN. "That call sign belonged to someone who died 8 years ago, someone I flew with. Hearing it again was like hearing a ghost. But then I listened to her flying that crippled airliner, and I recognized her skills. Nobody flies like Falcon." 3 weeks after the landing, the Department of Defense held a press conference. General Patricia Hawkins faced cameras from around the world. 8 years ago, Captain Chen was engaged in a classified operation that encountered catastrophic difficulties. Rather than risk capture, Captain Chen continued her mission using deep cover protocols requiring her to be officially declared deceased. The room erupted with questions. For 8 years, Captain Chen operated in the world's most dangerous regions, gathering intelligence that prevented terrorist attacks and saved countless lives. "Why wasn't her family told?" a reporter shouted. "Because any communication would have compromised her cover and put both Captain Chen and her family at risk. Deep cover operations require complete separation from previous identity. Why reveal herself now?" General Hawkins smiled slightly. "Because 312 people on American 2847 needed a pilot, and Captain Chen is incapable of standing by when lives are at stake. She exposed her identity and ended 8 years of operations to save civilians. That reflects the character that made her exceptional." 2 months later, Rebecca was summoned to the Pentagon. Her family was there, along with senior military officials and media. General Hawkins presented her with the Intelligence Star for gathering intelligence resulting in substantial contributions to national security. She also received the Distinguished Flying Cross for heroism during flight. But the moment that meant most came after the ceremony. Her old squadron had traveled from Langley. Major Havoc Richardson approached, followed by a dozen F-22 pilots. "Falcon," Havoc said formally, then broke protocol and hugged her. "Welcome home." The other pilots surrounded her. These were her people, aviators who understood what it meant to trust your life to skills and equipment. "Your memorial plaque is still in the ready room," one young pilot said. "Are we supposed to take it down now?" Rebecca smiled genuinely. "Keep it up. It's a reminder of what we sacrifice for the mission. Besides, part of me did die 8 years ago. The woman who came back is different." "Different how?" Captain Lisa Santos asked. "Harder, sharper, more aware of threats," Rebecca said. But also more grateful for small things, a good meal, a safe place to sleep, people who care whether I live or die. Your flying didn't change, Havoc said. If anything, you got better. You learn things when failure means death, Rebecca replied. I've flown damaged helicopters through sandstorms, landed aircraft with no hydraulics in hostile territory. 8 years of survival makes you adapt. One younger pilot asked what everyone wanted to know. Are you coming back? Flying F-22s again? Rebecca looked at the pilots surrounding her and felt the pull of the aircraft she'd loved. I don't know. Part of me wants nothing more than to get back in a Raptor. But I'm not the same person who flew 8 years ago. I'm not sure I fit that world anymore. 3 months later, Rebecca made her decision. She would return to aviation, but not as a traditional military pilot. She created a new program combining her intelligence experience with aviation expertise, training for pilots who might operate in hostile territories. The program was based at Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada, drawing students from multiple service branches. Rebecca taught them everything she'd learned during 8 years in the field. How to fly damaged aircraft, survive in hostile territory, maintain cover identities, and make impossible decisions when lives depended on choices. But she also taught something else. I spent 8 years hiding, she told one class. I became invisible because the mission required it. But when 312 people needed a pilot, I didn't hesitate to reveal myself. Some things are more important than missions or even your own survival. Never forget you're human first and an operative second. American Airlines held a ceremony at JFK Airport honoring everyone involved in saving Flight 2847. Captain Torres, fully recovered, stood beside Captain Jennifer Park, who'd been promoted. Dr. Walsh was there, along with passengers wanting to thank those who'd saved their lives. A year ago, I collapsed in my cockpit, Captain Torres said. I don't remember anything after that. But I woke up in a hospital alive because of extraordinary people. First Officer Park, who kept the aircraft flying. Dr. Walsh, who kept my heart beating. And Captain Chen, who appeared like a guardian angel to save everyone aboard. He turned to Rebecca. You gave up 8 years serving your country in ways most will never know. Then you gave up the anonymity keeping you safe to save a plane full of strangers. That's heroism beyond anything I can comprehend. Captain Jennifer Park spoke last. Before Flight 2847, I thought I knew what being a pilot meant. Captain Chen taught me something different. Being a pilot isn't just about flying aircraft. It's about serving others, making impossible decisions, being ready to act when people need you most. But the most meaningful moment came after the ceremony. F-22 pilots from the 1st Fighter Wing presented Rebecca with a flight helmet painted in F-22 gray and blue camouflage. On both sides was her call sign, Falcon. We've been holding this for you, Havoc said. Your old helmet was destroyed 8 years ago. This is your new one. The call sign Falcon was retired when we thought you were dead. We're officially reinstating it. Whenever you're ready to fly with us again, your place in the squadron is waiting. Rebecca took the helmet with trembling hands. She thought she'd never fly an F-22 again, never feel the Raptor's power, never experience the pure freedom of pushing an aircraft to its limits. Thank you, she said quietly. Then she looked at the assembled pilots. And yes, I'm ready to fly again. 2 weeks later, Rebecca climbed into an F-22 Raptor's cockpit for the first time in 8 years. The aircraft smelled the same, hydraulic fluid, electronics, that indefinable scent all military jets share. She ran through pre-flight checks with hands that remembered every switch. Major Havoc Richardson was in the second F-22, ready to fly as her wingman, just as he had 8 years ago. Falcon, you ready? His voice came through her helmet. Born ready, Havoc, Rebecca replied, and felt something inside her settle into place. She was home. The 2 F-22s taxied to the runway, received clearance, and launched into Virginia sky. Rebecca pushed the throttles forward and felt the Raptor's engines respond with a roar. The aircraft lifted off and climbed toward clouds. For 8 years, she'd been grounded, hiding, surviving. Now she was flying again, free in the sky where she belonged. "Falcon, you still got it," Havoc transmitted, watching her aircraft dance through the sky. 8 years away didn't slow you down. "Just getting warmed up," Rebecca replied, rolling her F-22 inverted and pulling through a maneuver that left contrails spiraling behind her. They flew for an hour, running through combat maneuvers, practicing intercepts, simply enjoying the pure joy of flight. When they finally landed, Rebecca climbed out and stood looking at the F-22 that had carried her safely through the sky. She'd survived 8 years in hostile territory. She'd saved 312 lives by exposing her identity. She'd returned to her family and military community. And now she was flying again, doing what she was born to do. Captain Rebecca Falcon Chen now leads one of the most elite aviation training programs in the world. She flies regularly with her squadron, maintaining proficiency in the F-22 Raptor while instructing the next generation of aviators. Her family has healed from 8 years of grief. Her father frames every letter she writes. Her mother calls every day just to hear her voice. Her sister followed her into military service, inspired by Rebecca's dedication. The 312 passengers from Flight 2847 formed an association called Falcon's Flight, meeting annually to celebrate their survival and honor the woman who saved them. Captain Michael Torres flies commercially again, carrying deep respect for life's fragility. Captain Jennifer Park has become one of America's most respected pilots, known for her calm under pressure. She keeps a photograph in her cockpit, Rebecca standing beside an F-22 with her helmet under her arm, as a reminder of what it means to be truly exceptional. The F-22 pilots who escorted American 2847 became legends themselves, the aviators who witnessed the Ghost's return. Lieutenant Colonel Jake Richardson commands the squadron where Rebecca once flew. He still stops at her memorial plaque every day, though now it carries an additional inscription, "Declared Dead 2017. Return 2025. Welcome home, Falcon." The story of Flight 2847 has entered aviation legend, taught in training programs as an example of skill, courage, and the importance of being ready when others need help. But for Rebecca herself, the most important outcome isn't the recognition or awards. It's the fact that she's home. She flies with her squadron, teaches students, and has dinner with her family every Sunday. She still wakes sometimes reaching for weapons that aren't there. She still positions herself with clear views of exits. The 8 years left marks that will never completely fade. But she also laughs with friends, enjoys the simple pleasure of flying without hiding who she is, and has learned that healing is possible even after trauma. She's not the same person who disappeared 8 years ago. She's stronger, harder, more capable. But she's also more grateful, more aware of what matters, and more committed to using her gifts to serve others. On March 14, 2027, the 10th anniversary of her official death, Rebecca stands with her squadron at the memorial wall at Langley Air Force Base. The brass plaque has been modified to reflect her return, but the core message remains: sacrifice, service, and the price of freedom. Young pilots around her listen as she talks about the day 8 years ago when she made the decision that defined the next years of her life. "I didn't choose to disappear," she tells them. "The mission required it, and I answered that call. For 8 years, I lived as someone else, gathering intelligence that saved lives. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. But when American 2847 encountered an emergency, I didn't hesitate to expose myself because some things are more important than missions or personal safety." She pauses, looking at the young faces. "You're training to be elite aviators. You're learning to fly the most advanced aircraft in the world. But never forget that being a pilot isn't about the aircraft or technology. It's about service. It's about being ready when others need you. It's about making impossible decisions and living with the consequences. 8 years ago, I was declared dead. 2 years ago, I returned to save 312 lives. Since then, I've taught hundreds of students and flown countless missions. But the lesson I want you to take away is this: you are never truly lost as long as you remember why you serve. The ceremony concludes with the traditional missing man formation, for F-22 Raptors flying overhead, one pulling up to symbolize fallen comrades. But this year, for the first time since Rebecca's return, the formation is complete. All 4 aircraft fly together because the pilot they'd mourned for 8 years is standing on the ground below, watching them fly. As the sound of the jets fades, Rebecca feels a hand on her shoulder. It's Havoc, her eternal wingman. "You came home, Falcon," he says simply. "I never really left," Rebecca replies. "I was always here in my heart. I was just taking the long way back." Above them, 4 F-22 Raptors turn and bank, their gray forms cutting through clouds. They're not ghosts. They're real, solid, present. Just like Rebecca Chen, who died 8 years ago but never stopped living, who disappeared but never stopped serving, and who proved that sometimes the dead don't stay dead when people need heroes. The call sign Falcon flies again, and everyone who hears it knows they're hearing a legend. Not because of what she flew, but because of who she is, proof that service, sacrifice, and courage can overcome even death itself. Captain Rebecca Falcon Chen stands surrounded by family, friends, and fellow aviators. No longer a ghost, but a living reminder that heroes emerge when they're needed most. She flew into darkness 8 years ago. She returned to light when 312 people needed her. And she continues to serve, to teach, and to inspire everyone who hears her story. Welcome home, Falcon. Welcome home. Word count, 4,987 words.